Lynn, why did you decide to introduce Building Learning Power here at Simpon School?
The time had come at Simpon School where we needed a radical change. We'd been doing a lot of the same thing. Lots of initiatives had been brought into school from outside, which we'd followed on, and the impact on the children's learning just wasn't there. The children weren't retaining information, teachers were working very, very hard, and the impact on standards, as I say, wasn't there, progress wasn't there, and we had some disastrous SATS results in July 2007, and we really needed to do something about it. I was able to visit a local secondary school where they were implementing Building Learning Power and observed a lesson which really inspired me, where the focus was on the children's learning. Came back, talked to the senior leadership team about it, and I said, I think this is where we need to go. The teaching that we'd observed was very teacher directed. Children weren't taking responsibility for their learning. They were just being filled up with facts, which when it came to tests or using elsewhere, they just couldn't do it. So we had a learning review which told us that yes, our children weren't learning, they hadn't got the skills to learn, and that started our journey of building learning power.
And what impact do you think BLP has had on your school as a whole?
As a whole, regarding children's learning for themselves, it's had a big impact. The children are now prepared to take responsibility for their learning. If they're set a task, if they get stuck, they don't give up. They will find other ways of doing it. Their automatic thing isn't, I can't do it because I haven't got a teacher sat next to me or an adult with me. They find other ways. They use their friends, they use other resources around the classroom, much more independent. So that was a big impact on that. The impact on teachers in the classroom, they're enjoying the learning of the children. The attitude is not how am I going to teach this, how are the children going to learn this? And that's made all of the staff rethink how they're presenting information, how they're going to get those children to retain that information. And the teaching assistants in school also embrace Building Learning Power. They attend all our training sessions as well and actually lead some of the staff meetings on Building Learning Power. So they've taken ownership of that in the class, but also I've taken on board the fact that the children need to learn things for themselves and not just be spoon-fed. It was hard taking that step back. I can remember one TA saying that she was going to put a notice in front of her saying step back because she wanted to be there the whole time. I think it was they felt they weren't doing their job, and teachers felt they weren't doing their job unless they were teaching, giving the information over. Now they accept that children actually retain the information more, enjoy their learning more when they're doing it for themselves.
And what impact do you think there's been on the success of your school?
Standards have risen tremendously. We were set quite challenging targets, which we achieved in science and in English. Maths we missed by one child, but the progress has been superb, really, really good. Progress of children throughout the school is that they are prepared to learn, they're ready to learn, they manage their distractions. In the past was a big issue within the school, but they now know the impact that has on, they manage their distractions and they get on with their learning, engage with their learning, and the focus is on building their skills as independent learners within the school.
So the benefits you've seen are actually quite wide. They're not just confined to academic achievement. Could you tell me a little bit more about the broader benefits you've seen within school?
The broader benefits is the fact that children show evidence of using their learning muscles when they're outside of school. We have an assembly where we celebrate achievements in school, but achievements outside of school as well. So children will come in and they will talk about how they've gained certain certificates or awards outside of school through the fact of using their learning muscles, collaborating, persevering and so on. The impact on standards has been vast. We as a school have been totally committed to it, and therefore often has raised the profile of Simpon School, not only within Milton Keynes but further afield than that, which is something that we needed as a school. We work in a challenging area, and in the past we were in special measures. We've moved out of that, but we needed to have an impact further than that. And building learning power has actually has given us that opportunity. Children see relevance in coming to school, they see relevance in being in class, they see relevance in learning, which is a skill that they have for life, and we're hoping that they can actually sustain that throughout their learning, secondary school and beyond into work.
What would you say to the head of another school who has heard about this, doesn't know whether to go with it, is perhaps a bit sceptical about it? What would you say to them about BLP?
You have to be brave. We had to be brave. We had to say we've had all these other initiatives which aren't working, and we said we're going to go for building learning power. And it's not a quick fix. It's not a tick the box. It's a long journey. And we've had to be quite strong in doing that and determined. We didn't want to have to drop it because people say, well, your standards aren't high enough, because we know that when the children have developed these skills as learners, those standards are going to rise, their attainment, their confidence, make sure that they're going to do well. And it's not just about sitting a test, they've got these skills for life. Other schools have got to be aware that it is a long journey, that it is ongoing. When we were first thinking about it, we were told you're looking at a 5-year journey at least, and then it doesn't stop. And that's actually given us the focus to do that, because although the steps we've had have been small, when we look back, we've come a long way, but we also know we've still got a long way to go. So to other heads, it's a long journey, but go for it. It's the radical change that we certainly needed, and it's given those children the opportunity to extend their learning and see the relevance of it for them to carry on and take it beyond.
Do you now hope to take BLP forward for the school?
Our next step is engaging parents within it. Lots of parents are interested in it because children now use a language for learning. So their parents will say, what is the collaborating? What is meta-learning? And so there is the interest there. So we're looking at ways as a staff to take that forward so that we can engage parents and see that they have responsibility for developing their children's learning as well. It's not just a school thing, that they can actually contribute a great deal to it as well. It's not that parents don't want to. A lot of it is, well, how do we? And if we can engage them in building learning power, they can see that just simple activities that they could do with their children at home, cooking, shopping, any of those, they could actually be enhancing their children's learning in that way. So we want to work with parents to see how they can help develop those skills as well. And also, I think to start with, the children will be a step ahead of their parents there, so it will enable them to catch up and say, oh, I know what this is all about now, let's move this on together. So that's our next step, definitely.